Hello, class. Good evening. From today onwards, we shall begin a series where I shall be explaining, or you can say describing, all the important extracts of the play Merchant of Venice. First, we shall begin with Act 1 and Scene 1, and then, quite smoothly, we shall forward and we shall proceed to other scenes and acts as well. Ultimately, our prime objective is to get the whole Merchant of Venice done. So, for today, the extract that I have extracted is one of the important speeches, or we can say extracts, of Scene 1, Act 1. If you have gone through it, then you know very well that this is the speech of Bassanio. Class, one more thing. You know very well the extract that you are given to solve in your examinations. Questions are also asked on the basis of the background of that extract and what happens just after that. So, the moment you get an extract in the question paper, you need to be aware what is the background and what happens after that. Now, read the extract, that is the speech of Bassanio, and that begins with In Belmont. In Belmont is a lady richly left. Now, if I may ask you that what is the background of this scene or of this extract, then you know very well that the background or what happens in the background, right now there are two characters who are present on the stage. One, the protagonist of the play, Antonio. Protagonist is the one around whom the entire story revolves, and the other character is his best friend Bassanio. So we have Antonio and Bassanio present on the stage right now. But we know very well that when the play begins, Act 1, Scene 1, there comes three characters, Antonio with two of his friends, Selenio and Celerino. Later on, as the scene proceeds, we find three more characters coming together, Bassanio along with Lorenzo and Graciano. And after that, everybody, except Antonio and Bassanio, the rest of them, they leave one after the other. And right now we are left with two characters, Antonio and Bassanio. So before we begin the speech, before we begin the explanation, I would also like to remind you that just before this speech, Antonio has asked his friend Bassanio to tell him everything about the lady with whom he has fallen in love and about the lady for whose sake Bassanio is planning to go on a secret pilgrimage. And here comes the answer from Bassanio. I read the extract once, the speech, and then we shall discuss it in detail. In Belmont is a lady richly left, and she is fair and fairer than that word, of wondrous virtues. Sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless message. Her name is Portia, nothing undervalued to Cato's daughter, Brutus is Portia, nor is the wide world ignorant of her worth, for the four winds blow in from every coast. Renowned suitors and her sunny locks hang on her temples like a golden fleece, which makes her seat of Belmont Colchis a strand, and many Jasons come in quest of her. O my Antonio, had I but the means to hold a rival place with one of them, I have a mind presages me such thrift that I should questionless be fortunate. Let's let's start the discussion. Let's understand what Bassanio means to say in this speech. In Belmont is a lady richly left. The very first line In the very first line, Bassanio says that there is a lady, there is a woman in the city of Belmont who is richly left. That means she has inherited a great wealth from her forefathers. Obviously, we inherit from our forefathers. So, in the first line, Bassanio says that there is a lady in Belmont who has inherited a great wealth, and she is fair and fairer than that word. In the next line, Bassanio says, apart from inheriting a great wealth, she is also very beautiful. She is extremely beautiful. And in a hyperbolic expression, Bassanio claims that she is more beautiful than beauty itself. We have come across these hyperbolic expressions many a time in this play, be it Lorenzo glorifying his beloved Jessica and saying that her hands are whiter than the paper, or there are many instances of hyperbolic expression. So here Bassanio claims that in the city of Belmont there is a lady who has inherited a great wealth, and she is extremely beautiful. She is very beautiful. Of wondrous virtues, sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless messages. Of wondrous virtues, that not only has she inherited a great amount of wealth, she is also very beautiful, and she is a lady of virtues. She is a virtuous lady. Virtues means good qualities. So there are many good qualities, there are many virtues in that lady. We all know that she is Portia. Portia is a virtuous lady. And he further claims that sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless message. Bassanio means to say that I have means we have I have made an eye contact with her, with Portia of course, and Bassanio means to say that the impression I received, it made me think that she loves me the way she loves me in the same way in which I love her. So that is the explanation of Bassanio, that there is a beautiful lady residing in the city of Belmont who has inherited a great wealth. She is very beautiful, and she is a lady of virtues. She is a virtuous lady. Her name is Portia, nothing undervalued to Cato's daughter, Brutus's Portia. Bassanio says that the lady I am talking about, her name is Portia, and there is a reference of another Shakespearean play whose name is Julius Caesar. We all know that in Julius Caesar, one of the eminent characters is Portia. Portia in Julius Caesar, she stands as an epitome of beauty and wisdom. So when Bassanio compares Portia of Belmont, Portia of this play, The Merchant of Venice, and Portia of Julius Caesar, what he means to say that my this Portia is no inferior to the Portia who exists in Julius Caesar. That means she is equally intelligent and she is equally beautiful. Portia of Julius Caesar is known for her wit, that means wisdom, and beauty. So Bassanio has compared Portia with Portia of Julius Caesar and claimed that this Portia is in no way different from Portia of Julius Caesar. And let me also tell you that Portia of Julius Caesar, she was the wife of Brutus, Marcus Brutus, one of the prominent characters, and she was the daughter of Cato, who was known for being a man of wit, man of wisdom. Nor is the wide world ignorant of her worth, for the four winds blow in from every coast, renowned suitors, and her sunny locks hang on her temples like a golden fleece. Now Bassanio claims that since Portia is such a beautiful lady, Since Portia has inherited a great wealth, since Portia is a lady of virtues, then the world, the world is not ignorant, the world is not unaware. That means the world is full aware about a virtuous lady, about a beautiful lady, about a lady who has inherited a great wealth. Because four winds, he means four directions. In another hyperbolic expression, he means to say the wind has blown and the wind has spread about the qualities, about the beauty of Portia, and the whole world is in a queue, running, running towards Belmont, the city where Portia lives, because every suitor is a male character basically who seeks to marry a lady, and every suitor wants to marry Portia. Look at that again. For the four winds blow in from every coast, renowned suitor and her sunny locks hang on her temples like a golden fleece. Sunny locks means hair, golden hair of Portia. Temple means forehead. Here Bassanio glorifies the beauty of Portia, and he says that the golden hair, the hair of Portia, which are in golden color, they, when they spread over her forehead, they make her look like a golden fleece. There is a comparison of Portia with a golden fleece. Who was golden fleece? Golden fleece was a sheep, it was a ram who was golden in color, quite exquisite. It was known for his exquisite beauty. And Jason, the brave man, the brave prince, who went to the Colchis stand risking his life, and he came back with that golden fleece, with that golden sheep. So here the idea is that suitors, those people, those men who want to marry Portia, they are compared with Jasons, because Jason put his life at risk. Similarly, these suitors are running towards Belmont. The city of Belmont has been compared to Colchis strand, Colchis, the seashore, where Golden Fleece was. And Portia herself is being compared with the Golden Fleece. So the idea is the way Jason put his life at risk to get the Golden Fleece. Similarly, many suitors from all across the world, they are coming, and they are coming in a huge number to marry Portia, because everybody wants to marry a virtuous lady, a beautiful lady like Portia, which makes her seat of Belmont Colchis strand, and many Jasons came in quest of her. O my Antonio, had I but the means to hold a rival place with one of them. Now, in the last four lines, Bassanio comes to the point and says, O my Antonio, O my dear friend Antonio, had I but the means had I equipped with money, had I been able to bear the expenditure of my journey from Venice to Belmont to hold a rival place, had I been equipped with money, I would go to Belmont and be one of the suitors, who are coming to marry Portia. I have a mind presages. Mind presages, that means a very strong feeling, a sense of confidence. I have a mind presages, that means I am very confident. I am confident enough that I would succeed in marrying Portia, that I should questionless be fortunate. In the last four lines, Bassanio reveals the real intention, that why he has come to his friend Antonio, and what does he seek. He reveals that, my dear friend, had I been equipped with money, I would go to Belmont. Had I been able to bear the expenditure of my journey from Venice to Belmont, I would go to Belmont and be one of the suitors because I believe I am confident enough if I am there. If I become one of the suitors, without any doubt, questionless, without any doubt, I would succeed in marrying Portia. So this is the sum and substance of the speech of Bassanio, where Bassanio first glorifies Portia when he glorifies that how beautiful Portia is, how virtuous she is. She has inherited a great wealth from her forefathers. There are many suitors who are coming across all over the world to marry Portia, but the problem of Bassanio is that he is short of money. He is in no state to bear the financial expenditure of his journey. Had he been able to, he would have gone to Belmont, he would go to Belmont, and he is quite sure about his success. That means he would marry Portia. So, class, I believe that this speech is clear to you. If there is still any doubt, I would urge that leave your doubt in the comment section, and I would also tell you, I would like to inform you that here I am for you to help you. So, in the whole play of Merchant of Venice, why Merchant of Venice? Because presently we are dealing in Merchant of Venice. If there is any extract that you are not able to understand, I would say that write down in the comment section the first two lines of the extract and mention the act and scene. And I will try my level best to make another video on that extract as soon as possible. Thank you very much, class. Thank you very much.